Welcome to NEO Now. I'm Dave Bacon. Today we are going to highlight a program that is helping young people across Northeast Ohio build confidence, teamwork, and their voices both on and off the field. Cleveland Scores combines soccer, poetry, and mentorship to give students the tools they need to succeed in school and in life. Joining us now is Development Manager of Cleveland Scores, Joyce Becerra. Joyce, appreciate the time. Thanks very much. For those that aren't familiar with Cleveland Scores, what exactly is it and what is the mission?
Yeah, so Cleveland Scores is a free after-school program. Like you said, we combine poetry, soccer, and community service to build strong bodies and creative minds. So our mission is to inspire Cleveland youth to lead healthy lives, be engaged students, and have the confidence and the character to make a difference in the world.
So it's a unique model that Cleveland Scores has. It combines soccer and poetry. How did that idea come together?
Yeah, so the Scores model actually started in 1994 in DC. It started with Julie Kennedy, then a public school teacher, who, when she saw that her students didn't have a lot of out-of-school activities, she turned to the two things that she knew what to do. And what she knew what to do was she knew how to play soccer, she knew how to write poetry. And so what was really cool was she started seeing these team building relationships that were happening in the field then be reiterated and combined with the workshops and the sense of community that she got for her students. That was really what started the whole program. The Scores network is now in 13 cities. And Cleveland Scores actually started in 2004. So we've been around in Cleveland for 22 years. And what we try to do is this whole child support, right? So it's not just their academic achievement, it's also their social, emotional, and physical well-being. And that's why we call the students in our program poet athletes.
So when you look at it, it's kind of physical activity and self-expression in young people. Why are those important? Why are those important things to have, especially in young people?
Yeah, I think so when you're doing physical activity, right, you're strengthening your body, which also strengthens your mind. And the idea is to establish these healthy habits while, kids are young. To lay the foundational skills and have them be active members of their community. So what we want them to do is, take these skills that they're learning right now so that they can just keep going with these healthy habits. They get the skills to be confident, the tools to be able to communicate effectively, and that really turns them into thriving adults as they grow up.
What age groups do you serve, and also how do students typically get involved?
Yeah, so we are serving 1st through 8th grade right now. We are in 17 schools, so we partner with participating schools. In the beginning of the school year, students that are in our schools can just sign up, and it's just on a first come, first serve basis. But we do prioritize returning poet athletes because the focus of our program is to have a deep impact in a child's life. It's not about numbers. So we want to have a child go through the program from 1st grade all the way to 8th grade. And we also work with schools to identify kids that might need the program the most, that might benefit from the program, whether it is because they, have low literacy scores or they just need more physical activity. So we work in close partnership with them to identify students.
So what does a typical day or session look like for a student that's involved in the program?
Yeah, so typical sessions are 60 to 70 minutes after school, and it happens directly after school at the school that we are having a program in. The reason for that is we want to make sure that there's no barrier to entry, no transportation issues or anything like that. And we want to make sure that we are there for our students the second that they're out of school. We also hire their teachers as soccer coaches and writing coaches to make sure that they have a friendly face and a safe environment and someone that knows the community to really know the child and help mentor them along the way.
When you look at it, all programs have challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges for Cleveland Scores?
I think right now, in youth sports, there's just such a a huge gap, really, between children from historically marginalized communities. I mean, we know that children from low-income households are 3 times less likely to participate in any sort of team or organized league. And this is because of, the rising cost of youth sports, transportation. So what we do is our program is completely free, and we provide everything for the kids, whether it's like their soccer kits, the writing supplies, everything that they need to make sure that there's no barrier to entry. We're really trying to be a solution to that kind of pay-to-play model that is in our country in a lot of sports. And the other thing is, I think we also have a need to improve our literacy scores in our district. The Ohio report card, I think, said for our district, only 36% of third graders and 25% of eighth graders are considered proficient in reading. So with our poetry workshops and our service writing workshops, we are trying to address these issues to help them along the way.
Take us through a success story, something that you kind of think of. It's like, we did that, and it makes you smile.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many stories from the kids. I think one that really sticks out to me is last season in the fall, I was at a game day, and I was by the sideline talking to a coach, and I heard these group of young girls just talk about how Scores is such a sisterhood. And that, they like love coming to program because they love hanging out. And they were like really cheering on the team. Like they were like making up chants and dances and things. And it like really reiterated what we're all about, which is about building confidence and teamwork. And I also think about 2 years ago, there was a student whose teachers explained that he was just being very disruptive in the classroom. They couldn't get him to listen. And so they approached us, and we put him in the Scores program. And because he wanted to be part of the team and playing the soccer games, he needed to listen and participate in the poetry workshops. And by doing that, transformed his whole look into the classroom, into the day-to-day activities in his other classes, to where he was actually engaging during the school day. So I think, it really shows how if you give kids an outlet and a place to be themselves and have fun, they really thrive. And that's what we're trying to do.
So before I let you go, how have you seen the program grow? How has it grown over the years? And then what do you look to in the future? What do you want to get done as you move forward?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started 2004, it was 22 years ago, we were only in 4 schools. We were only serving 120 students, 3rd through 5th grade. Now we're in 17 schools. We serve 1,500 students every year. And the program has expanded from 1st grade all the way through 8th grade. And we even have alumni programming for high school students that went through our program that focus more on leadership and career mentorship. And we have summer sites as well. When we first started, it was just, fall and spring. Now we partner with a lot of organizations in Cleveland, like the Cleveland Public Libraries, to bring summer sites so that we can reach more kids and provide the soccer and writing literacy programming that we do.
Joyce Becerra, thanks so much for the time. Keep up the great work with Cleveland Scores.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will continue to shine the spotlight on Cleveland's Scores. NEO Now, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
NEO Now continues. We continue to shine the spotlight on Cleveland Scores, and we're pleased to be joined by Michele Ibarra. She is a school principal and board member for Cleveland Scores. From your perspective, Michele, what first drew you to Cleveland Scores?
Well, Cleveland Scores is an amazing opportunity for our students and for our children. So the reason for that is, one, it gives our children the opportunity to participate in soccer. I'm a true believer in team sports and all the skills that are accompanied. You know, when you join a sport, just that collaboration, teamwork. You know, developing those skills. But then the other element of the poetry and the community service feature. I do believe it's essential to give back to your community, and that's something we need to instill in our children. And so when Scores offers that community-based program, along with the poetry, so enhancing their literacy, I mean, it's a done deal. So,
how have you seen Cleveland Scores impact the students that are involved in the program?
So one. It's been nice to see, so I'm a coach too, so it's been really nice to see how through the years the development of their skills. So like, for example, in PE or in recess, you see the kids playing soccer, you know, so they're running back. And this is starting, you know, when they're in first grade, second grade, you know, going all the way up until 8th grade. And you see them playing soccer and you see just the development throughout the years. It's really a beautiful sight. The other thing is, you know, is just the confidence. I think when they're practicing, they're working together on their poetry, you know, when they go up on stage, that confidence where they're overcoming their fears and they develop that skill. It's wonderful to see them just grow as young individuals.
So you can see a tangible kind of growth and impact that the program has on students?
Immensely. And I've been there for over 10 years, and it's wonderful to see just the growth and this additional impact that it has on our students.
Why do you think a program like this is important in today's school environment?
So as we know, we're with technology all the time. You know, we're on our phones. You know, children are on their iPads and devices as well. You know, but what this does is it's allowing our children to collaborate. It's allowing them to communicate. It's allowing them to get physical fitness. It's allowing them to develop those critical thinking skills. And so I think any moment where we can, give our children that opportunity is really worthwhile and something we need to capitalize on.
What about the poetry component of it? How does it help students kind of maybe even express themselves when they might not otherwise do so?
You know, I think with the poetry, it definitely, some students are really geared towards it and they love it, but the other students, it really enhances their literacy because they're being introduced to new vocabulary, new words, but it's also allowing them to express themselves in a manner that they never have before, and you see it, like you see the kids like they'll carry journals and, you know, they'll write their little, you know, stories within their journals and things of that notion. So it's really nice to see how the poetry not only enhances their literacy, but also enhances their creativity.
So how does Cleveland Scores support teachers and school staff as well?
Well, one, anything that's going to help our children with their reading is definitely a support. It also offers, you know, some of our teachers opportunity to coach after school. You know, so just that additional, connection with the students and then, you know, additional job opportunities. And then it also, again, it sounds, you know, simple, but like dismissal, you know, when we have after school programs, it helps, you know, our parents, but it also helps so that, you know, there's not long lines in dismissal. There's more of a staggered release. And I think for our teachers, the biggest thing with America's Scores is, again, like when they are running some of those programs, that connection that you build with a child is so different. You know, it's out of the day setting, and you really get to know the child at a different level, and that's something that, you know, is priceless.
So you're a principal from pre-K to 8th grade.
Yes.
Is there an ideal range where if we get a kid involved by this time, we see more of a payoff on the back end of it?
I mean, I love the fact that we start in first grade. And once they're in, like, the kids stay. They tend not to leave. You have other kids trying to get in, you know, really wanting to expand the program, which I'm trying to do. And so really, I think from the first grade on, you really do see that change and impact.
What does it mean to have a program like this embedded within a school community? As somebody who's in charge of a school community, what's it mean to have Cleveland Scores in your school and in your community?
I think it really allows us to have more equitable, or children to have equitable access to a lot of the programs that might be difficult for some parents to, to have them join Little League or, the park recreation. For some of our families, they're working maybe multiple jobs or working night shifts, and, trying to run your child from this practice to this practice sometimes bears a hardship. So this allows our children to participate in activities and not have to drive your child from here to there. You can pick up your child, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, homework's done, in some cases. So it just gives them the opportunity, and our children the opportunity to have access.
Can you share a memory that kind of really stands out to you about this program as an educator?
I think for me, when I see the kids in the soccer field, or when I see them, presenting in the poetry slam, it's like it warms my heart, because I do see the kids in a different light. Like, I was so shocked, like this, one student, and I'll name his name, Glimmer. I've known him since he was so tiny, and seeing him grow and become this remarkable soccer player. I mean, I was so impressed with the skills that this young man developed, that it warmed my heart to see him in that way. Or when I see my children, in the poetry slam, and they're, reciting the poetry that they've been practicing, and you see them nervous, but when they overcome that fear, I always tell them that's your growth moment. When you overcome a fear, that means that you grew. And so, seeing that, gives me a lot of pride.
What would you say to other schools that are kind of considering bringing Cleveland Scores into their building?
I would say do it. I mean, I feel, I've dealt with a lot of different after-school programs. America Scores is very well organized. It's very easy to run. And as a principal, I'm very, I am hands-off, because they're able to be self-sufficient and run themselves. And so, since there is a lot on my plate as a principal, it really makes my life easier. So I have all this added benefit, but it's not something additional that I have to add on my plate. But the benefits that it gives your school, the benefits that it gives your parents is remarkable, and something that any school would benefit from.
Michele Ibarra, thanks so much for taking some time with us. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Michele Ibarra, she is a board member for Cleveland Scores, also a school principal. We're going to step aside and take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we will continue to shine the spotlight on Cleveland Scores. You're watching NEO Now. Stay with us.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
NEO Now continues. We continue to shine the spotlight on Cleveland Scores. We're pleased to be joined by Tim Hinton. He is the soccer manager for Cleveland Scores. Tim, from a coaching perspective, what makes the soccer side of Cleveland Scores so unique?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us, first off. But from the coaching perspective, I think that it's all about the social-emotional learning element that we add into our coaching, right? We want to teach our students about life. We want them to, take these life skills and apply them in the classroom as well. And I think that our coaches also have such a great relationship with our students, because a lot of our coaches are teachers, right? So they're in school with them all day, and then they get to build that relationship further outside of the classroom and have that extra fun. So I think that it's a beautiful space for them to connect.
So what skill levels do you typically see from kids that first enter the Cleveland Scores program?
Yeah, 100%. So I think that a lot of the students, when they're first starting in first, second grade, they are beginners. They've never touched a soccer ball before, and they're new to the sport, and they're just trying to do something fun. And a lot of them, especially the younger students, they're playing with the flowers, right? So we work with them on that, and we work with them to continue to grow and, build that love for the sport, right? So a lot of our students have actually continued on, throughout the entire program.
So how do you balance, teaching the game, the sport, and teaching life skills?
Right, yeah. So, that is a huge component of what we do, right? So at the beginning of practices with our coaches, we actually have them do social emotional learning, right? So we start there and we have 11 really, really cool components that we focus on. And to give you an example of one, clear the ball, right? It's a soccer concept, right? A defender clears the ball from the box, right? And on the social emotional side, it's all about taking a moment to clear your mind, to reset from the distractions, right? So we implement all of those key concepts into programming, and it's also infused within our poetry side as well, our writing side. So I think that it's a great way, 4 days, right? We're making sure that they have a lot of access to that concept, so they're really diving in.
What are some of the most important lessons that you think the kids learn, and really that you want to teach them? What do you want one of these kids to kind of take away from being part of this program?
100%. Well, I think the biggest thing is, leadership, right? We're trying to build the next generation of leaders through our program. So, on the field and off the field, we're trying to teach them great life skills that they can apply so they can achieve everywhere they are, right? Whether it's on the field or in the classroom. But I think that teamwork is really one of our big ones. How to be a team player, how to collaborate with other people, but also how to take that leadership role and use your voice, right, as a student, right? Because a lot of students, when they're first starting, they're a little bit shy, right? But then, we get into some of those leadership opportunities, right, where they get to use their voice a little bit more, and then they're becoming more confident, right? More confident people and students in the classroom. So I love that about our program.
What's the most important thing when building a kid's confidence? How do you do it, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
100%, yeah, because I think that it is so important to build the confidence of our youth, right? And one of the ways that I think is essential is praise, right? Once we get older, we start seeing all the things that are going wrong, all the fires, right? And, a lot of our jobs are about fixing those fires, right? So I think that we get in the mindset of when we see something wrong, that's what we're going to point out. But our coaches, right, we really drill in for them and to focus on praise, right? Specific praise, right, to the students, not just saying good job, right? Because good job, the student can be like, okay, what are you saying good job for? Because it could be 10 things that they did that you're saying good job to, right? But getting very specific with the praise. So like if, they're working on the skills, right? And, they do something really good, saying good job for ... right? To build that confidence. But also, just in our everyday practices, some of our schools, they have a very consistent routine that they practice, right? And in that routine, they're doing toe touches, right? And those toe touches, the students do them for 1 minute, right? And at the beginning, the first week, they're doing maybe 10 toe touches because it's new to them, right? And they're like, I don't know how to do this. But then at the end of program, they're doing 50, they're doing 65, they're doing 100. And the students can see that growth. And that growth is something that builds their confidence in the sport, but also shows them that as long as they practice, as long as they try, they can build and do anything that they want.
How often do you see kids grow into leadership roles through soccer? Because you mentioned that's what you want.
Right, 100%. So I think that it's very often, right? A lot of our students, they actually love that part, right? Because it adds purpose, a sense of purpose for them, a sense of meaning. And I was just at our mid-season meeting a few days ago, and we were talking to our coaches. And one of the things that a lot of the coaches shared is how much the older students love giving back to the younger students in our program, right? So our 6th through 8th, giving back to our 3rd through 5th programming, our 3rd through 5th, giving back to our 1st through 2nd, and leading them through stretches, leading them through drills, right? In one of our schools in particular, they sign a middle school leader with the 3rd through 5th grade every single practice, and they kind of guide them through, show them the skills, make sure that they're developing, and that gives them that sense of purpose, that sense of I can lead, I can use my voice. And the younger students actually prefer that, right? They love working with the older students because there's also that connection there, right?
As somebody that is in charge of that program, I would imagine that's what you want to see.
Yeah. Because
then it kind of just keeps fulfilling itself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that, and it's just amazing to see, amazing to see.
What about teamwork? You touched on it. How important is teamwork to what you're trying to get done with Cleveland Scores?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's essential, right? Collaboration is everything with the students. And, we're trying to teach them how to be a team player, not just on the field, but off the field and in the classroom. So I actually brought these patches that we give out. We give a teamwork patch out and a leadership patch out to our students at our games, right? And after they do, the games, we all meet in the middle in the center, and we really focus in on, giving these patches to students that demonstrated great teamwork. And what that looks like is not just being uplifting and encouraging to your own team, but also uplifting and encouraging the other team, helping people up when they fall and demonstrating great sportsmanship. Because what we're trying to teach the students, it's not just about uplifting the people that are close to you, but it's about uplifting everybody, right?
How do the practices and the games kind of help reinforce what you're learning in the classroom and with the poetry as well?
Yeah, 100%. So I think that the practices and the games, the biggest thing, and the poetry, right, is teaching growth mindset, right? When, a student, they're first practicing, they may, like I said, with those toe touches, right, they may not have the skill yet, but we're teaching them you may not be able to yet, but you will be able to, as long as you continue to try and continue to put in the work, right? And the games are the same, right? They although we don't keep score for our younger students, they keep score, right? and the parents do too, right? So I think with that, they're seeing, okay, I didn't do this well this game, but what I can do great next game is pass the ball a little bit more. And then the next game, when they make that pass and they're celebrated for it, they're like, I did it, right? So I think just demonstrating that confidence is very transferable to the classroom, right? Because, they may be struggling with the math problem, right? But through soccer, they learn, I may not be able to yet, but I will be able to as long as I try and put in the effort. So that's what it's all about,
I can see the passion, the smile. You love what you do. What keeps you doing it? What keeps you motivated every day to do this?
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing is the smiles that the kids have on their faces, right? And in my journey, I started out working with youth when I was in high school. I was a mentor for elementary school. And when I was doing that work, I had a student that said something to me. They said they had behaved poorly in the classroom because all they saw in their life was the adults acting like that, so they had to act like that. And from that moment on, I promised to myself that I would work with youth to show that their current condition is not their final conclusion, but they can do anything that they want. They can reach any potential that they aspire to, and then they just have to put in the work. They have to put in the time and commit to something, and they got it.
Tim, great stuff. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work with Cleveland Scores.
Thank you so much.
Tim Hinton, soccer manager for Cleveland Scores. That's going to do it for this edition of NEO Now. We hope you enjoyed seeing the spotlight being shined on Cleveland Scores. We'll see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.